Welcome to my video on my recent trip to Japan, where I spent 2 weeks in Japan, 1 day in Taiwan, how I got there, cost effectiveness, everything. Yes, I actually went through and I made a PowerPoint. I tried to go through just the camera roll on stream to show people. It was too scuffed, took like an hour. I actually went through the work, made a full actual PowerPoint. Let's get right into it. So, how easy is it to actually go to Japan, right? The plane ticket is the most expensive part for sure. Like, it's going to cost $1,500 to $2,000 round trip to actually get to and from Japan. But after that, when it comes to transport, housing, food, items, whatever you're going to buy there, it's going to be really cheap. The transportation is very effective, very cheap. The food is very delicious and very cheap. The housing, I say later, is like you can probably spend $500 for around 2 people to stay there the whole time. But anyway, on top of that, the yen is currently super inflated and it's not worth that much. So before the tourism spike happens and the yen goes back down, right now is a really good time to go, because usually if $1, like 1 yen equals 1 cent is usually the case. Now it's more like $1 is one cent, or $1 is 100 yen, but at the same time everything is also 35% off all the time. So it was a really, really good time to go. And I speak Japanese. It says that. To a conversational level, not super good, but definitely good enough to conversate with most people. But even if you don't speak Japanese, English is all over the place, right? English is built into a part of their language called katakana, and the basics of it is that most people can speak English at least a little bit. If you're stuck in any train station, you don't know what to do, just talk to somebody and they will help you. They are very willing to help. They are very nice. Everything is clean. It's all safe. Their worst crime is accidental umbrella theft, because they just leave their umbrellas, before they enter buildings, and people accidentally grab each other's umbrellas. No crime. Everywhere's safe. There's not even trash cans around. It actually is kind of infuriating sometimes. You're walking around with your trash and there's no trash cans anywhere, but there's also no trash. People will even just they're so clean, they just take their trash home with them, and that's normal. It's kind of insane. The only negative is that the mask mandate still exists. And you need a proof of having 3 shots or a negative COVID test within a few days of you going there. But I went and got my 3rd shot and that was fine. It just means that people aren't really out at the bars. I'll mention later that at the bars, a lot of times that they were very, very empty, even though we're in Tokyo, one of the biggest cities in the entire world, if not the biggest. So it was kind of wild, but let's just keep on going. How did I actually go? Right? How did I go? So I was touring my friend there for 2 weeks. And, I had this all planned out, everything in advance, because I had studied abroad there 4 or 5 years ago. And so I knew what I was actually doing. The tickets just happened to involve 1 day of layover in Taiwan, since it was through a Taiwan, an airplane agency. So that was that. And the plan, you used the JR pass and in fact abused it to get places. So if you land in Tokyo or you land in Osaka area at these different airports, and you don't want to use the JR pass and you just want to stay there, that means you're going to be stuck in that area, right? If you want to go to Osaka, Nara, Kyoto, you can go to the Kansai airport, land there, come out. If you want to just go to Tokyo, you could land in Haneda or Narita and stay there and then just come out. But you want to do more than that, right? You're there to visit Japan, let's be honest. So go and actually do things, right? So the JR pass allows you to get infinite usage of any JR line, which includes the Shinkansen bullet train. So there's these lines that go all over the country. And so we landed in Tokyo at Narita, and then we took the JR line from Tokyo to Osaka, Kyoto, right here. And then later on, 5-6 days in, we took the JR line to Hiroshima and then did stuff there. And then on the last day of the 7-day pass, we took the JR line from Hiroshima all the way back to Tokyo. Really cost effective to get around, really fast to do so. It was maybe $200, $300 per person for a 7-week unlimited usage. And that's not just the JR line, it's any train that uses JR. So even this boat that you can see was a JR line boat. And so that was, ridiculous, the fact that even a ferry is using the JR line. But yeah, super cost effective way to get a lot of places really quickly. And I did stay at a previous homestay, but if you were just buying nothing but Airbnbs, you could stay for 2 people, $500 easily. So yeah, that's the plan. So, once again, we landed in Tokyo. But before that, of course, getting there, eating some, airplane food, seeing the airports there. Taiwan was not that much of a hassle. It was actually pretty easy. I got really used to, since there was 4 flights in total, got really used to this instructional briefing where there was just a guy I don't know. It was a very they had a very suave main character in their instructional briefing that was pretty funny to me. But anyway, it was a pain, right? 13-hour flight, and then to Taiwan, and then after that, like a 2-3 hour flight to Tokyo. But you know, it was nice. Serve various meals, and it was a nice trip. So we get there, go to the homestay I went to when I was in study abroad, and then the next day we go to Nara. Right, Nara is the place with all the deer where they are sacred. The people there have, you know, for hundreds of years worshipped them and they bow to them. So you walk up to them, you go buy deer food, you walk up to a deer, you bow to the deer, and the deer bows back to you, and then you feed it. At least that's what's supposed to happen. But the deer actually just camp the spots where you buy deer food, and they will just straight up like run you down. And I have videos and stuff of that. It's actually kind of funny. But yeah, just these, you know, super cute deer that you feed them. You just buy food for like 50 cents and do that. This is actually this is a meal I had the night before with beef tongue, rice, fish, miso. This is good. And this is Todaiji. It's a pretty famous just, you know, temple in Nara where these giant I honestly wish I could tell you what they were like accurately, but I'm pretty sure Buddhism, right? They were huge, right? You can see the people down here. Like these things were just actually massive, and it's the whole thing, right? So that was really nice to finally see, and just, you know, various things in Nara just related to deer, and you know, a really nice park there. And then the other half of that day, we went to Kyoto, went to Fushimi-Inari, which is where there's a, you know, small mountain. I would say a small mountain, and the torii gates go all the way up or they start at the bottom of the hill, and then they go all the way up to the top. So you see this one, this is the starting gate at the station, and so these gates, they go all the way up to the top. There's tons of them in different shapes and, you know, sizes mostly, and they're all like sponsored by certain people. Like certain companies will donate like $10,000 and get a gate put in or fixed or whatever. And so they go all the way up to the mountain, all the way up to here where it's the fox shrine, and just like the fox deity. So yes, we did go all the way up to the top. It was a huge pain, but it was nice. And then later that day, I went to a really nice ramen place in Kyoto and got some shio ramen, which is just a soy sauce based ramen. Super, super good stuff. Different ingredients from what was there 5 years ago, but yeah. And this is also kind of a viewing spot from the top of Kyoto, from the top of Fushimi-Inari of Kyoto, right? Anyway, next day. So we stayed kind of in between Kyoto and Osaka, so it's very easy for one day for us to go one way, and the other day for us to go the next way. So we simply went to Osaka. And in Osaka, started off by going to OSAKA-JOU, or the castle, and you know, very famous castle, lots of stuff with it. Anyway, very, very pretty location. Here's a shot from, you know, being up there, right? You can see those little things. So this is actually the viewing area where this was taken. Really, really nice spot. After that, went to TENNOJI Tower, where they even have, I don't know if you can see it, there's like a little slide attached to it now, which we tried. It was very strange. Definitely not a... you know, it was just like, if you've gone to any amusement park, you'd actually be kind of disappointed. But it was kind of interesting. And this is actually this picture is taken standing on the stairs of Spa World, which is just this huge, like 6-floor onsen sauna place where, you know, I've gone there many times. It's very cost effective. It's huge. It's just imagine like a football field size of spas and saunas. Really great place. Went there again. And then, oh yeah, before we left here, we went to just like kind of like some sort of curry event was going on. And there was a whole bunch of different curries to try, so we tried that. This I did last time I was there, like in, 4 years ago. This is a restaurant where there are boats in the restaurant, and you literally fish for your food. You put a fishing line in, you fish for your food, you give it to them, and then they're like, okay, now show us on the menu what you want to turn it into. So they'll cook your fish, turn it into sushi, whatever. It's really fresh. I actually couldn't catch one with like a bobber. So there's another section where you can catch a different kind of fish where you literally just take a hook and you just yoink it. And that's just like kind of brutal, but that's how I got my sushi. And I had pictures of that before, but we didn't actually do that this time, but I have done that before, so that was cool to see. And this is yakiniku. This is basically unlimited meat. You pay a flat fee. I think it was like $25 a person, and then they just keep giving you meat. They just keep giving you meat of different kinds. Like here's some just like, I don't know, just various kinds of meat. Like this is skin or fat, And there's a lot of different things. They give you chicken, they can give you vegetables, all different things, and you just keep laying it on. They give you a little ice bucket, so anytime this gets like full of char, you just use the ice to make everything stick less. And so it's unlimited, right? You have 2 hours to eat as much as you want. And we attached Nomi Hodai to it, which is a drinking buffet, so we also got to drink as much as we wanted from this. So ate a lot, drank a lot, really good stuff. Honestly, this was really good. Not the best picture of it, but it was pretty good. And then walking back through Osaka, where they had like tons of Christmas style lit up trees. It was very pretty. Like these went on for like at least like over like 2 miles, just like of all the trees like that. It was pretty nice. But anyway, next day, going to Kyoto, going to Kiyomizu Temple and the Gionshijo Station, basically. Here's just a park and some tonkatsu I had that night, as well as just kind of like what it's like near Gionshijo with this huge kind of just area. And this is what it's like at night, but this is not actually the temple. This is right here where you go up. It's pretty high up. You can see the whole city over here. You can see Kyoto Tower and just a lot of cool stuff. And before we even got there, we got to this thing, this giant cemetery, and it's just, I don't know. I just thought the sight from the cemetery just going down and then seeing the city beyond that with all the autumn colors. I thought this was a cool picture. It was really, really pretty. It was actually almost prettier here than it was here. And then also my friend after this, we got a little bit separated, and he followed a wedding back to a different temple. And so there were these people getting married with this whole procession and everything. So these are 2 people getting married. Kind of public temple thing. Oh, and this is ice cream with sakura, cherry blossom, and matcha tea mixed together. So that was pretty tasty. But that was most of that day. He went and bought a suit, and we just had some other small meals. But anyway, back to Osaka for the 4th day, going to Dotonbori and Nipponbashi. Dotonbori is this big, just everything you can think of, food, drink, clubs, whatever. There's this big Running Man sign and the super dry Asahi beer. These, this huge like riverside. There's a lot here. And Shinsaibashi, same thing, where it's just shops and shops and shops. So many shops. And then the earlier part of that day was Nipponbashi, which is like Osaka's version of Akihabara, where there's just, like gaming stuff, anime stuff, whatever. I got an omelet with a little cat on it. It was actually pretty good. This is like a curry omelet. And this is just an example of what like some of the arcades look like while there. And this was just early in the day. It was kind of raining a little bit. Just kind of going through a park that is near TENNOJI Zoo. So that's, just kind of a very pretty place to be. Anyway, next day comes by, and we take the bullet train again, to Hiroshima. And obviously, using that JR pass again to get there. First day in Hiroshima, just got our stuff to the place we were staying at, and immediately went to Itsukushima, which is an island where, surprisingly enough, there's even more deer there. I had no idea, but basically famous gate, and it said that it's like one of the 3 best, most picturesque places in Japan to be. The place is famous for oysters, so these are actually oysters with butter on them. And then they're also famous for okonomiyaki that uses noodles instead of just the normal like cabbage and stuff. So I tried this, and it was good. I'm not gonna lie, it was good. A little bit strange, but it was good. That's like the Japanese pancake, basically, dinner pancake. And just some things on the island, right? Really good views of just different areas. Right, this is just like a bunch of like, these are like sake barrels. Like there's a place near Kyoto that is really well known for sake, so I know what these are. Just a bunch of like sake brewing barrels. I just kind of thought it was a cool shot. But okay, so the next day we went to Peace Park, which was actually really near where we stayed. There, I think my Airbnb was like 1,000 feet away from where the bomb landed, so that was kind of surreal to be there. But yeah, actually, before I even get into that, the night before, right after the island, we went to just kind of a brewery. So I got some, this was White Plum Ale beer that was actually very good. I'm not really a beer guy, so I don't usually drink a lot of beer, but I actually finished this. It was fantastic. And just kind of some other stuff. This is like some sort of fish skewer. I don't even know. And then this was just like some like kind of meat. I actually just don't even remember what this is, but it was very tasty. I do remember that. But so we walked past Peace Park to actually go to the Hiroshima Castle first, and that was nice, just like any other castle. Had nice views in it. You can kind of see down here, just nice views of Hiroshima. And then actually going back to Peace Park, we went to And there's this whole museum here where there's the Remembrance Hall where it's just a 360-degree thing of, you know, everything. And, you know, there's a whole museum that there's not even a picture of, but this picture is being taken from the museum itself, and of just like kind of the courtyard. There's like this flame here, like an eternal like peace flame, and the what is it called? Just like the bomb building. I'm actually blanking on the name, but basically it's a very famous building where they were, you know, it managed to stay up, and they're like, hey, we need to get rid of this. It reminds us of, you know, the situation that happened obviously with the Hiroshima bomb in World War II. We need to get rid of it. And then, you know, before tearing it down, they're like, no, wait, we should actually save this. And so they kept this dome here. And it's just like a remembrance kind of thing. So that was pretty interesting. And so that was our day in Hiroshima. And before the JR Pass ended, because it lasted a week, needed to take the train at the end of the day all the way back to Tokyo. So we got there. It was basically nighttime, like 10, 11 p.m. But I was still hungry, so we went to Kura Sushi, which is my favorite my favorite sushi place to go because it's super cheap. This is like $1 per plate of just any kind of sushi you can imagine. You put 5 plates into the table, and then a little thing plays, and then if you win this little cartoon thing that plays, it'll pop out a little toy from the top. Kind of a fun little game, kind of gets you to buy more plates. But I love it, especially getting salmon with onion on it. Just take a little bit of the onion because they always use so much, and just use it on other things, or tasty beef, or seared salmon with cheese. I think this was like a catfish or something, and just like some mochi. I got tons of other plates. Like I ate like 15 plates. This is only 5, but anyway, also near our place that we stayed, saw ASAKUSA at night, which is way more interesting than during the day, in my opinion, because, you know, during the day there's just so many people there, but at night it's just like the streets are just completely empty, and just very, very, just pretty location to be. And then even saw some like parade floats, because there was an event going on, but we missed the event. There was some sort of like night event where at midnight they like had some kind of some event was going on. I wish I could say what it was, but we missed it. So enough about that. Next day, first day to actually spend in Tokyo, going to mostly Nakano Broadway and Asakusa, right? Because Asakusa during the day, we're looking for that event, still missed it. Anyway, you know, there's a lot more people there during the day than there is at night. And then going over to Nakano Broadway, which is on the far west side of Tokyo. It is basically a giant mall where the majority of things there are either just like, you know, like standard retail shops, or, you know, it's well known for secondhand stores where just various video games, figures, whatever you can imagine just being in this huge mall were there. So it's like, just here's an example, just like some super cheap, like it's like, oh man, here's a whole figure for, you know, $5, right? Just like some super cheap stuff. They were all over the place. And this was a counter. So if you bought a certain amount, you take it here and you're like, hey, I bought this certain amount. And so they're like, oh, you bought this amount here. It's tax free because you're a foreigner. So then they give you back money that you spent because you were taxed while you were in the store, right? And this is a kebab, right? So strangely enough, I found years and years ago that one of the best foods in all of Japan to taste is not even Japanese. It's kebabs. Kebabs are so good. This is a naan. This is a garlic naan bread. And this was some sort of like meat sauce, and you just kind of pour it over this kebab. I could eat kebabs all day long. Like, put it in a bowl, sandwich, whatever, give me kebab. It was actually really tasty. I would just, you know, I ate another kebab later because it's just so good. Like, probably one of my favorite foods there is just straight up kebab. Delicious stuff. Anyway, so then the night comes, and we went to Shinjuku, which, so we originally started by bar hopping a little bit. We were looking, but it was like a Thursday, and, you know, it's like, we were looking like, hey, where's all the people at? We didn't know. Turns out they were at this huge festival. We ended up, we walked into like 5 different bars, there's no one in them. We're like, oh man, you know, the COVID is destroying Japan, the bar scene is dead. And we talked to these people, and they're like, oh, it's because they're down this street like 3 blocks. And so we walked with these people for like 3 blocks, and then we just found everyone at this huge festival. You don't even know how many times you just accidentally walk into a festival. It happened at least 3 or 4 times this trip, and it's happened to me multiple times before where you just accidentally walk into a festival. But before that, get to Shinjuku, you're greeted by a giant cat. This is like a 3D cat that greets you. It says "Welcome to Shinjuku" and a whole bunch of things here. And you can also tell that this is Shinjuku because of the Godzilla head that rests on one of the buildings and stares over Shinjuku. One of the main, one of the main streets there just has a giant Godzilla head. Kind of interesting stuff. This is pachinko. This is the Japanese version of gambling, where it's a giant, just, you know, coins and, you know, basically just imagine slot machines and gambling. But how pachinko is different than from a casino is that instead of, you know, getting your money back like you would at chips at a casino, you get items. You buy items with what you get from the pachinko parlor, and then you take them to a shop nearby and sell the items. It's a loophole that gets around the no gambling, you know, laws in Japan. So you have to, you know, you earn things at this, you know, fake casino. You get the items, and then you go somewhere else to sell the items for actual money. It's just a loophole. But anyway, just like some, what was this? It was basically what was this? I think it was like beef rib or something. This was like super, super good. Just like street food here in Shinjuku. So yeah, we didn't do a karaoke parlor. That's what this is, karaoke. But you know, it's pretty well-known stuff in Japan to do karaoke bars. But anyway, so next day comes along. We go to Tokyo's Imperial Castle, where the emperor actually resides. And so because he actually resides there, we can't actually go into the main grounds of it, but we can see basically the outside of it and get into like this garden area where it's just a huge thing. The whole Japanese metro kind of revolves around going around the Imperial Castle itself, because nothing can go underneath it or anything. So it's kind of like the center of Tokyo. And it's just a very, very nice place with lots of greenery, koi, everything. And then we went to Harajuku, right? But the koi actually were in Harajuku. But regardless, Harajuku is a place in Japan where everyone is, you know, it's the fashion area where all the girls wear super, you know, high-end clothing. And there's tons of really high-end clothing stores there that are way too expensive. And so this is actually like the Harajuku street, and there's just like tons of high-end stuff here. So you'll see people in wear clothing there. It was kind of nice. Bought some shirts. And then we went to Shibuya Crossing. So Shibuya Crossing is the largest crossing of people in the entire world, as you can see them going here, but that's not even during like a rush hour or, you know, any kind of, you know, actual crossing time. That was just like at 2 p.m. randomly, right, where there's this huge crossing where like 5 different streets come into, and you know, the station is right here, and, you know, like for example, Hachiko the dog is here, and there's a lot of things. Just this is just a statue of very quick version of the story of Hachiko. Was a dog that his doctor, his owner, died while he was gone on a train, and the dog came back to the station every day to wait for his master to go there. People picked up on the fact that this dog was waiting for a master who would never return, and they started, you know, helping it out, feeding it, and the dog like came back like over and over for like 10 years and then finally died. And so then people made a statue of it because it was very, you know, very good boy, simply. But yeah, here's you know, more of Shibuya at night. You know, went around just a little bit more bar hopping, right? But yeah, that was just, you know, lots of good stuff there. And so day 9, going to actual Akihabara, right? Like we went to Nipponbashi in Osaka. Akihabara is where there's just the geek stuff, anime, video games, all of that. You know, different shops of various kinds in Akihabara, right? Saw tons of cool things, right? You look at these and you're like, no, there's no decimal sign there. This is like $600, and then you take 35% off. Some of the things you look at, it's like, oh man, this is $5. Oh, this one right next to it, this one is literally $1,000. I think the most expensive one I saw was like $1,500, but it's just kind of wild. It's just shops and shops of this, and they all have these little numbers on them. So you get a piece of paper and pen that they give you, and you write, oh yeah, I want this one in this box. You give it to them, and then they go hunt them down. Really cool stuff there. This is just a giant arcade, right? So it's an arcade that has like 5 stories. First 2 stories are going to be like UFO catchers. Just imagine like crane games where you just kind of get, you know, different prizes out of them physically. And then the rest of them are like arcade games. But it's not like arcades in America where, you know, it's just the game itself. Arcades in Japan are literally online. Like you will face people online in the majority of games there. And I didn't even try, right? We would just see people in these online fights against each other. Like there's like 4v4 like super mecha things in these arcades. But so yeah, that's fun. The arcade scene in Japan is pretty wild. But then that night, kind of bought our stuff, got it back to the place. Then we went to Skytree, which is the tallest structure in all of Japan, and had obviously an insane view of Tokyo from up there. got some of these night pictures, and went right up there right as the sun's about to set, so you can see what it looks like during the day, and then of course the sun sets, and then after the sun sets, you can see what it looks like at night. Here's Mount Fuji. You can see that nice curvature in the background. I did climb that 4 or 5 years ago, so that's super cool to actually see just that horizon of Fuji there. Super cool stuff. And even though it's November, even in Japan, they're celebrating Christmas, and they've already got their Christmas stuff up. This is actually, you can kind of barely see it, but this is a shadow of Skytree itself, because this is looking the opposite way of the sun. So this whole black line is literally just the shadow from the tower that I was in. Kind of crazy. You go up to like 350 meters, and then you take a second elevator that gets you up to the 450 meter spot, even though the whole thing is like 636 meters tall or something. I don't know the actual number. But yeah, super cool view up there. And then for the night, we went to, I think this was a torikizoku, as in it's a yakitori place where it's basically meat on a stick. So this is karage, which is just basically fried chicken, some just various types of like chicken with different kinds of salt, or like teriyaki, and just like wings and different kinds of meat. Super tasty stuff. Yakitori is super amazing. That's all I'll say. Going on. Next day in Ueno. Ueno is really close to where we stayed. This is the day of accidentally walking into museums. We walked into so many museums accidentally, and so many events accidentally. So started the day and went to Ueno Park, where we walked in this museum, and it was like $10. It's like, sure, let's go in. And then there was just like some very strange things were in this museum, like a 7-Eleven or a bag of potato chips and some other really strange things. I saw a thing of like Hello Kitty and just a lot of strange stuff in this museum, but it was pretty cool. And then after that, there's more. There was another museum. I don't even have pictures of those two, but there was like 2 others right next to it. Left that area and then accidentally walked into a festival again, where it was a ninja celebration kind of thing of a place called Uji, which is actually east of Osaka, where I got to eat ikayaki, which is a grilled squid, basically. And I had a Japanese burger and fries. That was pretty good. Some tea and some, what is this? I think this is yakisoba, actually. So grilled soba noodles. Really good stuff. And just kind of walking through the park, right? So, yeah, there was even a whole performance where there was these guys, like, straight up, like, whole samurai sword, like, chopping down bamboo and stuff. It was kind of cool. But, yeah, even more museums and stuff going in. And then we went to the thing we were actually trying to go after I got my candy apple. And the candy apple was fantastic, but it literally took an hour to eat because it was like a hard candy on the outside. It was delicious once I actually got to the apple itself. But man, this apple, I had to walk through train stations with it. It literally took like an hour to eat. Ridiculous. Anyway, going to Yoyogi Park, which is near Shinjuku, and going to this Brazil festival, which was intentional, but I guess I just didn't realize what it was. We had just accidentally walked into this festival and ate, so when we went to this one, it was like, we don't need any more food. We've done enough. It was a lot more rowdy there, very Brazil-like, I guess you could say, and so we just kind of more or less left and saw the park. And then I think this is where we tried to go to Roppongi, but we messed up and accidentally walked into a museum. Like, we went out of the station in Roppongi, but we went the wrong way out of the station, and because we went into the wrong way, we actually entered into, like, one of the National Tokyo Museums there of, like, art. And so we saw, like, a bunch of art, and just, this is, like, all art that I saw there, like, on the walls and stuff. We literally just accidentally walked into a museum. And so, yeah, we just kind of, that was mostly it. Went out to the bars again, just ate some stuff, and then that was more or less it that night. I think I had sushi again, went to Kura Sushi again. So the next day, I went to Tokyo Big Sight and Tsukuji. So a long time ago, 4 or 5 years ago, Tsukuji was the big fish market where they have the sales for tuna and various different fish in the morning, like at 5, 6 a.m. And then, the whole area is bustling. But then the Tokyo Olympics happened. And when the Tokyo Olympics happened, they had to change the location of the actual fish market to another place east of that. And so I decided to walk to Tsukiji to see, or Tsukiji, what it was, to see what it was like. And I would say it's a lot smaller than it used to be. And it was not like bustling like I would say like it was previously. So I was kind of disappointed. But I kept walking. Right, that's where you see like, over here where I was just like kind of walking there. I just ate at a ramen place while I was there. Really, this ramen was actually better than the stuff I had in Kyoto, even though it was just like a little shop. It was pretty good. But anyway, so I walked to the actual place where the fish market happens, but it was just like an industrial building or something. So I was not very impressed and just kept walking and finally made it to what I was actually going to. Tokyo Big Sight Design Festival was going on. So that's where I saw, once again, going to see art. I saw live art going on. I don't know if I can see any of them in these pictures. Here's one where you can actually see the guys. So I don't have any videos on stream, but I have tons, all of the art was being done live in front of you. All of it was like all these people were just working on them like right in front of you, so it was really cool to see it just like coming to life. And I was there on the second day, so most of them were basically complete, and that was really cool, right? Just like lots of different art, different little things to buy. I bought like a little square of tatami mat that was kind of cool. But yeah, it's just like some crazy art there. That was really cool to see. I just walked around. It was like, imagine like a square mile of just different art things. And, I spent like the whole day. I probably spent like 5-6 hours there once I finally got there. Just kind of left. This was kind of near Big Sight. It was just it was just, I guess, a pretty location because it was raining that day. So it was a really good day to actually go there. And that was about it there. Day 12, going to Tokyo Tower. Tokyo Tower, big tower that was gifted to them by France. People were like, oh man, it looks like that one other tower. Sure enough, yeah, gifted by France. And, years and years ago, or like 4 or 5 years ago, there was a one-piece amusement park there. And so I went there. I was like, what's there now? Because I heard it closed because of COVID. Guess what? There's a huge arcade. It's not like an arcade. I would say it's more like a gaming amusement park where there were like driving simulators and VR simulators and different weird games with like ball, like I don't even know how to explain it. Like this one was like bocce ball, but bocce ball was like virtual, so it was just like it showed up on the screen immediately. That was really cool. And I actually streamed from there. There was literally a stream I streamed from Japan where I tried to stream off my phone and had a super scuffed. I had 2 different streams because it kept the internet kept cutting. Obviously scuffed stream from the phone. But yeah, I did play League of Legends from Japan using their monitors in this room, and this was just like, this was in the room, like it's their symbol. It's just a life-size, I don't know, Tokyo red symbol. So yeah, I played poker there. I got some people. I actually played Japanese poker with people. It wasn't for real money, but it was super fun. And then later on, going and getting just some random food. Went and got some takoyaki. So this is the octopus balls where it's just breading and there's octopus pieces in the middle, and this was actually super tasty, and enough there. And then this was sukiyaki. So this is a very, very thin piece of meat that you grill, and then you kind of roll it around in this yam sauce, or there's various ways to eat it. So kind of like yakiniku, but not a tabi hodai or buffet where you're just eating it repeatedly. You get this much and that's it. That was kind of interesting. Not for me, but it was good. It wasn't worth the price, but it was definitely interesting. But yeah, this was just more stuff near Tokyo Tower, as in Tokyo Tower at night, and just kind of walking around near places there. So that was Tokyo Tower. And then basically the last day in Tokyo was me buying gifts, right? Different cups I picked up using the Been There series from Starbucks, because my certain family members love Starbucks, so got all these cups from different places. And then I did some grocery shopping there. Went to a Don Quixote, which just basically a Walmart, but it's like 7 floors instead of being wide and flat. Just bought a bunch of different things because if everything is really cheap here, might as well just buy all the really cool stuff and then bring it back to America. So I have a ton of this stuff, right? And then ate at a McDonald's in the airport. I think the first time I've ate at McDonald's in like 3 years. I just kind of thought it was funny. There was like a rice burger. So it was like, this is like a rice patty. It's not even a normal bun. Obviously they have normal buns, right? I just kind of bought like a specialty burger. That was kind of interesting to me. It was not bad, but it was also McDonald's, right? And so flying to Taiwan. But before that, I guess went to a kind of a donut place, something similar to a, like a Dunkin' Donuts or something, but Mr. Donut instead. This was just this was the hotel room we got to in Taiwan. And getting to Taiwan was really funny because like we were like, hey, the hotel that we're staying in is literally on the grounds of the airport. Can we just walk there? They're like, no, you can't walk there. You must take a taxi. You must absolutely take a taxi. And like a security guard took us and made sure we got a taxi, even though it was literally like a 15-minute walk away, because I guess there wasn't a sidewalk. And so that they were so concerned. It was kind of ridiculous. Literally couldn't even figure out how to turn the lights on because we needed to put our key in a slot to actually activate the lights. We got into this room, we're like, what? All the lights are broken. This doesn't make any sense. But no. And also, it's super weird. The shower, like the wall of the shower was like the wall of the room. So like low-key you could see a silhouette of a person showering. Super weird, but it was I don't know, hotel on an airport. So what do you expect? Right. And so I had my day in Taiwan, where I saw a lot of different things, learning about Taiwan, being to Taiwan for the first time, right? Just kind of some of the greenery there. I learned that Taiwan is Moped City. So in Taiwan, there's just so many mopeds. There's like literally, I don't have enough pictures of this, but there's like 2 mopeds per vehicle, right? There are literally like places, like every single street you're walking along is not a street. Every like sidewalk is just a parking lot for mopeds. There are mopeds everywhere. It is actually baffling how many mopeds there are. Like, and like if Tokyo and Japan is like organized, nice, clean, clean like place to be, Taiwan is actually like organized like chaos. Like everything knows what's going on, but at the same time it's chaotic because the mopeds have their own places where they, in traffic laws, I don't know. And like, it was super nice, but like even like some of the places we went to, like we went to a market where there's just tons of food like out, and it's just like I just walked by a thing of like just a bunch of like pig's feet just laying there, and it's like, wow, it's it's not, it's clean, but it's maybe not sanitary is the best way to describe it in Taiwan. But otherwise it was very nice. Like saw Taipei 101, which is the big tower. Didn't actually go see it, but yeah, just huge building there. Some various places I wish I could remember the name of, but I simply do not. And then, just various towers, and actually eating there, just like this, you can't really see the insides of it. My camera's covering it. I can try to move it for like half a second. Just, just like you want to call it a burrito, but that was like, costed like $1.50. I don't know what was in it, like cabbage, meat, some good stuff. It was very tasty. It was very like a thin, I wouldn't even call this a tortilla. It was like a third the like width of a tortilla. It was super thin. But then I also got this bowl of like just a bunch of different stuff: shrimp, scallops, salmon, like some crab meat, whatever. This was super good for like $5, just a whole thing full of really fresh seafood from that market. And so yeah, Taiwan was fun. Taiwan was really fun. And then guess what? Coming back, right? I posted a ton of pictures on Discord. And so there's Discord, like pictures of the food and different things about it. And then on Twitter, I had various pictures that I posted there as well. So once again, trying to keep this as short as possible. Let me know if you have any additional questions. I tried to go over everything. I skipped so much. Like I could sit here and be like, oh my God, I forgot that or that or that or that. But I'm just going to leave it at that because I want to keep it nice and short for people. So if you have more questions, just let me know. And that's about it. See ya.